A lot of the same tournaments, be it Star City Games, Open Series events, IQs, PPTQs, PTQs, what have you. Chris is from the Indianapolis area, about 20 minutes outside of the city. Kent is currently living in Bloomington, Indiana, studying at Indiana University, an enemy of Purdue, but I still do love Kent. So we'll see who wins this one. This should be interesting to watch as we are underway here very quickly. Ketter, number 4 overall seed. He's going to play a Forest to start, as will Andersen. Neither player with an Elvish Mystic at this point. We'll see if Ketter does have an accelerant on turn at number 2. He doesn't carry added, and for Andersen, who has 12 mana accelerants, it's pretty important that he has one this turn. And he does. So our quarterfinals off to a rip-roaring start here.
And I think that Kent might have some problems with lands in this game, though Corsair Crewfix revealing Opulent Palace is excellent for him. When the deck starts off with a forest, there's so many lands that come into play tapped, so many value lands, that when someone opens up with basic forest, it usually means their hand's very land light.
Andersen will take a draw step. He also has a Corsair Crewfix in his hand. These games should drag on a little bit here. These are both pretty long game, big mana strategies. Ketter's looking to catch dragons and build incremental advantages with Corsair Crewfix and Den Protector. Andersen's looking to rock and roll with Genesis Hydra, Dragonlord Atarka. Both these decks, they don't kill very quick.
And as powerful as Kent's top end is, Chris is even better. I mean, we're talking about Polukranos with a bunch of mana, Genesis Hydra with a bunch of mana, and even though, you know, Dragonlord Atarka, Dramoka, those are powerful magic cards, they can't contend with what Chris does, assuming Chris gets to go about his business uncontested.
Andersen does have a third land to play. I think he's just considering if he wants to play this now or play Corsair Crewfix first. Looks like he's going to start by playing a Forest. Now we will see what's next here in just a moment as he's tapping 4 mana. And it's going to be a Xenagos. That'll bring a Satyr along with it. And with the Thoughtseize on top of Ketter's deck, Andersen decides it's time to get this Planeswalker in play right now.
And this is a pretty safe play this turn. Kent not doing much in the way of pump spells in his deck, so unlikely that he can kill Xenagos this turn. Next turn's a different story, but Chris might just be using the Xenagos for a burst of mana for a big play the following turn.
Murder's cut the top card on Ketter's deck right now, so no advantage via the Corsair. Ketter a lot to think about on this turn. Looks like he's going to lead out with Thoughtseize, get a better idea of what Andersen's trying to ramp towards. You'll find a basic forest, 2 copies of Rattleclaw Mystic, a Whisper Elemental, which has been selected very quickly, it appears, and then a Corsair Crewfix.
Take your one card that does anything, leave you with a bunch of mana.
Yep. Hopefully you don't draw into a payoff. That looks to be Ketter's plan. A lot of payoff cards in the Green Red Devotion deck, though, of course. Here's Nurborg from Ketter. And it looks like it's going to be a Den Protector that's going to be morphed. Not a ton of morphs in Ketter's deck. He does have Death Mist Raptor as well. But he's not going to be able to get too tricky with those morphs. Corsair Crewfix is going to go after Xenagos. We'll see if the Satyr token would like to block or not. It's not a lethal attack on Xenagos, so Andersen's going to let that damage through, it appears, put it down to 1, pass the turn back. Andersen will take a draw step. It looks like it was a Hornet Queen off the top.
And that is something he can cast this turn.
It is.
5 mana between lands and mana creatures, +2 for Xenagos. Got a stew going.
And it lines up perfectly. And 4 insects will join as well. So a Tommy top deck there for Andersen.
And this is not a card that Ken is well equipped to handle right now.
Yep.
Now there are some answers in the deck. Dragonlord Atarka being a particularly good one, but that was really bad news for Ken because right now his hand's just removal spells and individual creatures that don't generate a lot of value. Den Protector does some work here, but Ken's vulnerable to just getting attacked by Hornets for the next couple of turns.
Windswept Heath comes off the top of the deck thanks to Corsair, so Ketter will gain a little bit of life here. He's back up to 20. It'll be a Satyr Wayfinder, so I'm going to clear some things away here. Sansep Citadel, Opulent Palace, the options here for Ketter.
Good operations. Sees the Death Mist Raptor on top of the deck, wants to get that into the graveyard before he unmorphs his copy of Den Protector.
There's a dragon on top of the deck. It's a Dragonlord Dramoka, but it's the wrong dragon at this point. Looking for a Tarka.
Dramoka at least slows Chris down a little bit. It's not the one he's looking for, but it does equate to at least 1 extra turn.
Update for you guys on one of our other matches here. Eric Rill does win game number 1 relatively quickly there over Corey Castelli. He's got to win the game pretty quick in that matchup. Green White Dragons does not want to go long against Green White Devotion.
No. But he's well equipped to do that. Good curve of flyers. That's a good strategy against them.
Den Protector looks like it's going to unmorph. Hopefully for Ketter, he's able to remember his Death Mist Raptor coming back in the graveyard as well. He's going to go after his Xenagos and get that off the battlefield. Looks like perhaps Kent forgot to bring back his Death Mist Raptor. A touch awkward there.
I think when Kent looked down at the graveyard, he realized what happened, but too late to do anything about it.
We head back Andersen's way, though Ketter did solve the problem of the Xenagos at this point. A land just the draw here for Andersen. Courser of Krufix. Take a look at the top card. It's a copy of Nykthos. Andersen will put that directly in the battlefield. He'll gain a life from the Courser. Death Mist Raptor on top of Chris's deck.
Still missing the top end, but mana is not going to be an issue for Chris the remainder of the game now with that Nykthos. He is going, if he draws something big, it's going to do something very dramatic.
Andersen going to attack with all the creatures. Deal 6 to Ketter. That'll put Kent down to 14. Life total certainly in favor of Andersen at this point. Out having that Death Mist Raptor might come back to hurt Ketter here. There's a Rattleclaw Mystic that'll be morphed. Andersen will pass the turn back over to Ketter. See if Ketter has any interest in sacrificing this Windswept Teeth. Or if he's fine with drawing the Dragonlord Dramoka. It appears that he's fine with drawing it.
It's an interesting dilemma because Dragonlord Dramoka is relatively anemic right now because of all of the Hornets. With that said, it's still so much more powerful than the average draw step that it's worth keeping.
Well, it appears that things broke Ketter's way. He took that land off the top of the deck from the old Courser, gained a life, and now Dragonlord Atarka is staring him back in the face.
And that was the card that Kent was really playing towards this game.
Absolutely. Now here comes Dragonlord Dramoka. The haymakers are coming from Ketter's side, and Chris has got to try to keep up. He draws a Death Mist Raptor for the turn. Let's see what's on top of the deck. It's just a kill. Sylvan Caryatid. That's not all that exciting at all.
Yep. Chris, no way to shuffle, so that's just the draw step next turn.
Yeah, it looks like a Rugged Highlands is the land in Chris's hand right now, not a Wooded Foothills. So he's going to gain 2 life, 1 from the Courser, 1 from the Rugged Highlands itself.
Combo.
Yeah, something like that.
That's not really combo.
No.
That's just 2 cards with the same trigger.
You're loosening up your definition of combo as we go here through the years.
The same thing happening from 2 different cards.
Yeah. See, Andersen's board looks like it might be getting wiped out here in just a little bit. Might get a Nykthos activation, but there's just not a lot to put that mana into. Rattleclaw Mystic looks like it's going to get morphed down. And it looks like the Death Mist Raptor will too. So Morph Mania here from Chris Andersen.
And Chris may just need to hang back. There's not really any attacks to be made, and he probably wants to leave all the Hornets back, so Kent likely kills Hornet Queen and 3 of the tokens, and then something needs to be done about the last token before Dragonlord Dramoka can attack.
Well, Ketter's going to draw that Dragonlord. We'll see what the top card of the deck is. Now it's a copy of Satyr Wayfinder. Keep in mind, Kent does have a fetch land on the battlefield. He's going to use that right now. Of course, we'll keep him at the same life. Of course, lose 1, then gain 1 once the land does enter the battlefield. He'll get, it looks like a basic forest, though he will consult his hand first. And though he has fetched this turn, he has not played a land yet.
We might even see a line of play like Dragonlord Atarka, clear out everything but 1 Hornet, and then even something like a Murderous Cut to finish off the last token so he can start attacking.
I love that play. Hero's Downfall on top of the deck. I think that might be Kent's best line of play here, too, because we can't forget that Den Protector is free to keep attacking as well. And that matters quite a bit here.
Yeah, you know, Kent's solidly ahead right now, and Chris is drawing a Caryatid next turn, which is good news for Kent, but you don't want the game to go on for too long here because Chris has some explosive draws. He can catch right back up.
Here's 7 mana. It's Dragonlord Atarka. He'll do 2 there. 1 to each insect. 1 insect will be left over. Though I think the only bottleneck here for Kent is that he doesn't have a spare mana to be able to actually cast Murderous Cut this turn. So just an attack here for 3, it appears. Rattleclaw Mystic is going to unmorph. And I see Chris is actually going to be able to snag this Den Protector, it appears. Because now he can unmorph his Death Mist Raptor, give it a counter, and now block. So that actually works out pretty well there for Andersen.
And keep in mind, Chris with no main deck copies of Den Protector, and deck lists are public, so Kent knows this. That play from Kent would be very risky against an unknown opponent, because if one of those morphs is Den Protector, Chris gets the Hornet Queen back, and now you're stuck at the same spot. Kent knows because the deck lists are public that that's a safe play.
And there's only 1 Hornet Queen in Andersen's deck list, so he's through that part of things. Chris is knocking the top of the deck, not what the doctor ordered. It's just an Elvish Mystic here for Andersen.
Kent rolling up the sleeves. He can't wait to untap.
Yeah. I'd be pretty happy to untap too. I get to crash in with 2 dragons in just a moment. Here comes Death Mist Raptor. Ketter can use his life total as a resource here if he'd like. He's certainly going to be gaining some back with that Dragonlord Dromoka here in just a little bit. Andersen's going to play Sylvan Caryatid. He'll pass the turn back to Ketter. Ketter will untap those 7 lands. That Caryatid as well. Draw a Hero's Downfall. Top card of the deck is a Plains. That looks like it may be entering the battlefield here in just a moment. Ketter does have another copy of Courser of Crufix to play, so that he can gain 2 life from the Plains. Just wants to set everything up accordingly now. He is certainly in the driver's seat here, and because Atarka and Dromoka are so large, can close out the game very quickly.
Yep. I mean, he gets this done in 2 turns.
Mm-hmm. Now he plays the Plains.
And we know next turn is no good for Chris because he is drawing Elvish Mystic.
Haven of the Spirit Dragon on top of the deck.
I mean, Chris knows he's beat by the downfall, but he might as well make Kent play it out.
Here is Murderous Cut. Remove a couple cards from the graveyard. Take care of the insect. That is certainly in the way. You give the beatdowns in the air, get 5 life as well, little Ketter. It's going to go up to 19. Andersen's going to take 13. He goes down to 7. And pass that turn back. Elvish Mystic is the draw. That's no help. What did Foothills went into the battlefield? That'll bring Andersen up to 8. We get to see the next card, which is a Forest. And we have seen enough of this particular game. Kent Ketter's going to win game number 1 here over Chris Andersen. Green-Black Dragons up a game over Green-Red Devotion. The power of going to the skies, my friends.
Well, Chris was just light on cards that were significant. He had all the mana in the world to work with. The only card he found with any meat on the bones was Hornet Queen. And Kent's Dragonlord Atarka +1 removal spell did enough work to contain that.
We'll take a look at the sideboards here. We'll start with Andersen. His Arbor Colossus, his 3 Den Protectors, 3 Hornet Nests, 2 Plummet, 1 Windstorm, 2 Nissa World Waker, and Ugin the Spirit Dragon, and 2 copies of Rose. He's got some ways to fight flyers after board.
Not only does he have some ways to fight flyers, which are very valuable for him with his copies of Plummet, Windstorm, and the Arbor Colossus, he also just gets better equipped to play a longer game. So he can go to cards like Ugin, cards like Nissa. Typically against control decks, these cards come with some liabilities because of cards like Disdainful Stroke, but Kent's not playing any permission. So all the powerful, slow cards that Chris can play to the board, they're all good here. I think you're going to see Nissa and Ugin alongside the anti-flyer measures.
For Ketter's side, he's got 3 Foul-Tongue Invocations, 3 Ultimate Price, a Dragonlord Dromoka, a Dragonlord Slumgar, 2 Tasker of the Golden Fang, his own Ugin, 2 Drowning Sorrows, and 2 copies of Duress.
I think that you're going to see the spot removal come in for Kent, the 3 copies of Foul-Tongue Invocation, the 3 copies of Ultimate Price. I think Dragonlord Slumgar is excellent in this matchup. Chris has some answers to flyers, but not really that many, and Dragonlord Slumgar snagging one of Chris's big plays, that's awesome. I think the Ugin comes in here as well.
Nice options on both sides of the table for these players.
Possible Kent goes to Drown in Sorrow. It's hit or miss against Green Devotion, but I think paired with Foul-Tongue Invocation, you sweep up Fool stuff, and then you have your Edict left over for the big things.
I like it on the play. I don't like it very much on the draw.
Yeah, that's fair. It could be a swing card.
We'll see how both players do opt to sideboard. And again, Andersen will be on the play here for game number 2 after the Dragons flew over for Ketter in game number 1. We'll talk about the Season 3 schedule here on the Open Series. Of course, we had Grand Prix Charlotte last weekend. Michael Malone, your champion there with Elves in Modern. If you haven't checked out that deck list, I recommend that you do. Very powerful deck in that format. This weekend, we're in Indianapolis, and we're a couple of rounds away from crowning a champion here. Someone's walking out with $5,000, 25 Open Series points, and an invite to our Season 3 Invitational, and that'll be happening in Baltimore, too.
Yeah, next weekend we're in Baltimore. The beginning of July, we take a couple weekends off, but then we head over to Chicago for the first time in Open Series history. After Chicago, we head to Richmond for a Standard Open Series event, a Legacy Open in Washington, D.C. The week after that, we are in London for a Standard Grand Prix. We head back to Charlotte for a Modern Open Series event, and then the Season 3 Invitational in New Jersey, Standard and Legacy as the invitational formats with a 2-day $20,000 Standard Open Series event, August 28th through the 30th.
Playmat is available for all those main events. Of course, it is Tassiper, the Golden Paw. We, of course, have the cat, and then our good friend Bananas there.
Blissfully unaware of how miserable his life is, like many dogs. Just happy to be hanging out.
Well, there's some food up there, I believe.
It doesn't look like Bananas gets to eat the
I
food.
don't think Bananas gets to eat the food at all, no. But this is available. No strings attached. You sign up for the main event, you'll get one of these. You'll get a voucher, of course, and you can pick up one of these at any main event that you do enter on the Open Series here for Season 3. The fantastic Season 3 playmat, again, Tassiper, the Golden Paw.
And no shenanigans with this playmat. We give it to you when you sign up, and the quantities are unlimited. So don't worry about having to pre-register, nothing like that. Just show up, get your playmat.
Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment between Chris Andersen and Kent Ketter. Our backup match, Eric Rill, Corey Castelli. If we have time to jump that way, we will. Rill is playing Green-Red Dragons, Castelli Green-White Devotion. Rill is currently up a game in that matchup. If we have updates on our other matches, we'll certainly let you guys know as well. Peter Chen, who is playing Banter Rokies, the #1 overall seed, playing against Jamie Kelly, who is Mardu Dragons. I believe they're still in game number 1. And then Raja Sullivan, who is playing Obzon Control against Derek Monk, who's playing Mardu Dragons. It looks like they're also still in game number 1, as we've just been informed that Corey Castelli has tied things up against Eric Rill. So they're heading to game number 3. Again, if we have time to jump that way, we certainly will. And when we have updates for other matches, we'll let you guys know at home.
Pretty fast win there for Green-White Devotion.
Pretty quick.
It definitely gets a stigma as being a slow deck, and that's because the slowest matchups, the mirror match, they can be really, really slow. But you still get the fast, explosive Devotion draws a reasonable percentage of the time. Just ramp into a big Pelucranos and kill some stuff and attack a couple times. You get those draws too, especially against a deck like Eric's, who's not playing with cards like Hero's Downfall, Obzon Charm. Just get to do your stuff.
Seems like a pretty tough matchup here for Devotion. I think the longer that we go, and if Chris is able to draw into his payoffs, life is going to be pretty good, but I think that Kent is pretty well positioned in this matchup. But I also am just kind of falling in love with Kent's deck. I really like what this deck does in the format.
I can appreciate decks where the top end, your late game, is woven into lands and your graveyard. It's incidental, but Kent's top end is really, really good.
Chris will lay out his opening hand. Ketter will do the same. We'll see if Andersen is happy with the 7 cards that he's looking at. It looks like the answer is no. He'll mulligan very quickly, as will Ketter. So no thank you from either side of things. Trying to mulligan for anything in particular in this matchup?
Not really. Part of the problem is that Chris rather, he just kind of needs to keep any sort of lands and spells hand because Kent is overloading on removal on top of the discard spells. He has game 1, so mulligans are very punishing for Chris. We know Devotion strategies, they need all the resources they can get their hands on. So you have enough mana to function, and then you have your top end to do powerful stuff. So no, I don't think Chris is very particular about the hands that he's keeping, just he needs functional hands.
Well, he's going to lay out 6 cards. We can see if he can find one right now. He's happy enough, as is Kent. So game number 2 underway here. The Temple of Abandon here for Andersen. That top card will stay on top. We'll head Ketter's way. Looks like it might be an Opulent Palace to begin. It also has a copy of Sands of Citadel. Oddly enough, both players actually have their copy of Ugin in hand after sideboard, so perhaps a little race to that this game.
Chris gets there way faster.
Yep.
But Ken has Thoughtseize in his deck.
A Temple here for Andersen. Opted to go with Temple instead of just a basic Forest and Rattleclaw Mystic.
Well, he might want to play the Rattleclaw Mystic face down because he's playing against Ultimate Price post-board. So he may want to use Rattleclaw Mystic for just one big burst of mana rather than try to accelerate to a 4-mana spell next turn.
Basic Forest searched up for Ketter, thanks to the Windswept Heath. That's why he's down to 19. And he's got a Satyr Wayfinder. So he'll turn over 4 cards. 1 is Dragonlord Dromoka, 2 is a Haven of the Spirit Dragon, 3 is a Haven of the Spirit Dragon, and number 4 is Nurborg. Haven of the Spirit Dragon goes to the Grip. And pass the turn over to Andersen. Picked up a copy of Nykthos. And you mentioned morphing a Rattleclaw Mystic. That's exactly what Andersen's going to do this turn. We will head back to Ketter. Ketter's got some of his more expensive cards in hand at this point. Dragonlord Atarka and Ugin. Ultimate Price looking to help him bridge the gap as his Murderous Cut. Andersen draws a copy of Nykthos yet again. He'll play a Nykthos. It's going to unmorph Rattleclaw Mystic. Little burst in mana here. This will allow for a Genesis Hydra.
And this is Chris getting paid off here with the patience with that Rattleclaw Mystic.
Indeed.
He waited until, he knows he's playing against Ultimate Price. He's waiting as long as possible to try to facilitate some big play, and Genesis Hydra into Pelucranos definitely counts.
And you saw him shuffle away the Hornet Queen. Can't put that one on the battlefield. Here's an Ultimate Price, however. That'll take care of Pelucranos. So a 4-4 left behind as Ketter will take a draw step. Picked up a copy of Sylvan Caryatid. He will deploy that. Now it's time for a Windswept Heath. So Kent doing a nice job of building towards his Ugin while kind of stopping Chris from getting towards his. Looks like he does have a removal spell on the way right now. Perhaps to take care of the Genesis Hydra.
Possibly take care of the Rattleclaw Mystic. It seems a little late to be trying to contain Chris's mana acceleration, but if he's worried about Chris's top end rather, and feels like he can probably block and use removal spells long enough to get to Ugin, he might go after Chris's mana.
Let's see where this Murderous Cut's going to go. He's going to take care of Genesis Hydra, leave Chris with the mana, and dare him to do something powerful, which is a scary thought against this deck.
But that Genesis Hydra did a lot of work, even though it and the Pelucranos are both in the graveyard. Got a Murderous Cut and an Ultimate Price out of it.
That's 2 less removal spells to worry about. It's not so bad. There's a Temple of Abandon there for Andersen. That top card going to stay on top, pass the turn back. Ketter will take a draw step. Picked up a copy of Hero's Downfall. I'll play a Haven of the Spirit Dragon. Satyr Wayfinder will come across for 1. It's 18 all here between these two players. We'll head back Andersen's way. Andersen with a Nykthos in hand and a Forest. This is going to allow for Dragonlord Atarka. And though only kill Satyr Wayfinder, does demand an answer right away. Fortunately for Ketter, he does have one in Hero's Downfall. But the use of that Hero's Downfall is one less answer to the Ugin that Andersen has in hand. And he has a Dragonlord Atarka of his own, and that's actually a huge tempo swing, killing the Rattleclaw.
And this is kind of the difference between the decks in the post-board games. Kent can interact with Chris's mana or the payoff cards. It's much harder for Chris to do that to Kent's side.
Courser of Crufix was the draw there for Ketter. Here's an attack for 8. Andersen goes down to 10. Now here's Courser. Take a look at that top card. It's an Opulent Palace. That'll trigger the Courser. We'll see what the top card is here for Ketter next turn. It's a copy of Temple of Malady. Now the nice thing if you're Andersen is you do get to cast Ugin this turn. The problem is you have to basically sweep away the entire board.
Not only that, but you're playing against someone with a Haven of the Spirit Dragon and plus Atarka, which will probably kill Ugin on the way back.
Well, keep in mind, Ugin does exile everything.
Yes.
So no rebuys on the graveyard. Everything is gone. It appears there's a Dragonlord Dromoka in the graveyard for Ketter to bring back if he'd like.
But I think Ken is just saying, I'll play my own Ugin a turn or two from now.
Yeah, we'll see how he decides. Yeah, it looks like that's the route he's going to go. He could have cashed in the Haven to get back the Dromoka, and he still might. And that looks like what he's going to do. He has a land on top of his deck in the Temple. The Temple can work its way into another land potentially.
Sure, and I guess this is a 2-turn clock. I think Kent's got it from both directions here. Ugin is pretty close to a lock against Chris's deck, so I can understand playing for that. Doing this and just saying, well, I'll get to land number 8 or kill him in 2 turns, it's fine too.
Yeah, it feels like the thought process here is I'll get to land break eventually. And there's nothing, it's not like Chris has a discard spell for the Ugin. There's no Thoughtseize coming from this green-red Devotion deck. Andersen going to play a Temple. Take a look at the top card. All you can do is pass the turn back. Ketter will draw a card. Dramoka's coming in for 5. Andersen down to 5. Ketter up to 24.
If Chris left on top, that has to be some sort of anti-flyer measure.
It's a morph there for Ketter. Den Protector or Death Mist Raptor. It's a Hornet Queen. That can be good at times. Den Protector is a nice way to get through that. Kent going to show.
He says, Den Protector, get back a land, attack you for 3, and lightning bolt you with Ugin.
Yep. Well, Chris says, go through it then. All right, I'll get back my Haven of the Spirit Dragon. Yep, and now he sees the writing on the wall. That's going to do it. Kent Ketter's going to win this match over Chris Andersen 2-0. Green-Black Dragons moving on to the semifinals. Knocks Chris Andersen out of this tournament. He will not get another Open Series title, and Kent Ketter is 1 match closer to finally getting his first. He's got a lot of top 8s in the Open Series, but no W's just yet.
The top end of those 2 decks post-board, there's a lot of similarities. Dragon Lord, Atarka, and just generally powerful stuff. But with Ken having Hero's Downfall, Murderous Cut, he can interact with Chris. It's much harder for Chris to interact with Ken, and that's essentially what you saw in those games. They both actually played to the same